G'day guys and welcome to a review of Saturday, Rosehill, 26th of August. 6 metre rail, actually played pretty fair considering there weren't too many fastish tempos. It looked like that you could run on there, not too difficult, especially if you came up the inside a bit and didn't get too wide in the straight. A couple came from back in some even tempos and saw DIC run on in the only really fast tempo of the day. Also Pariah and Chauffeur came from behind in the 1100, so not a ridiculously biased day, pretty, especially for a 6 metre rail on a good track. So really quite a good surface. First race of the day, 1100 metre race highway. Good race for the front, which was good to see. Looked like the way they were betting that Lifesaver was looking like getting a soft lead, which it obviously didn't get. They didn't exactly run along an even tempo and pretty slow time, so not a really high quality affair on paper, but definitely very competitive. The favourite did look insanely short and was proven that way. It's had basically every chance, a little bit one pace late. The winners held him. Nick's Vendetta, who was dropping back in distance, probably wins if they go a little bit quicker, so didn't really seem to matter what happened. The favourite probably gets beat here unless it had have somehow led and controlled the tempo, which did look unlikely. Nick's Vendetta does a good job. Red Knot okay first up outside the leader, working fairly solidly, just gets out sprinted late. The winner does a decent job, no knock on him. He's done the work to cross from the wide alley kicks and holds on quite well. Pretty plain race, nothing too much to be found outside of those runners, I didn't think. Levy Bank right down the outside here in the yellow sleeves, not suited again, was backed a little bit and he's obviously going well. Follow it back to the country. The first three across the line obviously had plenty on the rest, and that's how it worked out. So I would say that Lifesaver probably needs to get up in trip, 1400 metres. He looks very one-paced, and if he can find the front over that sort of trip, he'll be much more dangerous, I'd say, than over the sharper journey. To follow from the race, it's pretty difficult. All three runners can be competitive in similar grade, just need to be placed well. Race 2, and what looked the ugliest race of the day on paper to me, simply because there was no tempo and hard to work out who was going to lead. I was waiting for tactic changes that never came. I hoped that Prada Miss would have a shot for the front, which it did, and was rejected and was basically out of play from that point. Still got a query on Awoke and whether it can run 1500 metres. Again, it sat outside a slow tempo today, probably out sprinted, but still I didn't think it was a really great effort. I thought it was a great ride from Bowman after missing the start. He didn't panic. He worked his way around the field and got to the outside the leader without doing too much work. As I said, I would have loved to see Prada Miss have a better shot for the front, but it did look unlikely that he was going to get the lead. Bowman is sitting wide here, but he's in a straight line, slowly creeps forward. They run slow time up front, so he hasn't had to work. Eventual winner Marikita's back here, just simply out sprints them. Has been going well and getting a long way out of its ground. Obviously got settled a little bit closer today. Worked into it while they weren't going quick, and then out sprinted them in the straight. Very difficult to follow anything out of this race with any confidence. I think that Prada Miss needs to go up in distance. Chatterchak needs to come back, and so does Awoke. I wouldn't be surprised if she was a fast run 1200 metre back marker, the way she kind of races. She's obviously going well, but it's just difficult to work her out. So I think she races like she wants a mile or further, but she doesn't run it for mine, and that's only my opinion. But a race to be fairly negative about horses more than positive. I just do think a lot of them were poorly set up there, and the race turned out accordingly. Race 3 changed a bit here. It was a bit strange when an improvement obviously didn't show the speed that a lot anticipated. I thought it got checked out at the start, but reading the steward's report, it just looks like the horse didn't show its usual natural toe. I read that they're talking about giving it a better warm-up next start before running the race, and intending on going forward. So it's a horse that can definitely improve. Ran quite well here. Tango Rain obviously gets a softer lead because of that, runs along and takes advantage of his race fitness that he had over Marsupial, who did look the winner at the top of the straight, but obviously died on its run. It wasn't a bad ride. I thought if Glyn had have gone to the inside, it's similar to the way that like Shin does later in the day on Pariah. I just thought here where he crosses, there's a gap in behind Beau Tarage. Here, if he had have gone to the fence, he wouldn't have had to sustain a longer run. So in there, he could have gone in behind, ended up 3 back the fence, which is obviously the best place to be at Rosehill. Rather than that, he stuck behind a Pumpkin Pie who I didn't think was ever going to really carry him too far. He's forced to expose very early and sustain quite a long run instead of sort of cutting through and needing a bit of luck here, which, you know, it's easy to say doing a replay, and I'm not critical of the ride. I thought he rode it like it was a good thing. It was just a shame that the horse was first up and probably couldn't maintain that effort. I think he's a pretty nice horse, and you can see here he's levelled out. He's definitely died in his run there, and the winners held on for quite a comfortable win. I think they're just clearly the best two in the race. Pumpkin Pie probably needs a bit further. Improvement can definitely improve. Nothing went right there, and Silent Glow probably needed the run, and best to treat it as a barrier trial for her. Again, not a lot to be learnt. I think Marsupial can definitely measure up to at least 3-year-old sprinting grade this time in. He's a very, very nice horse that will definitely improve with that run under his belt. Race 4, average tempo, slow time, pack chasing at the end. The winner gets a few things go its way after finding an awkward position in the run. I thought there was a great ride here from Blake Shin on Shadlar trying to pinch the race, which also made the race for the winner at Al Ward, who's inside. The 2 leaders are controlling the tempo and battle away okay. You can see Shadlar just starting to pull here, and Shin whips around and most importantly just keeps going on with it, doesn't slow them up. His horse battles away okay, and not a lot makes ground. Another solid enough effort from Quick Defence down the outside. Strange ride on Vaucluse Bay. Notice that he's basically on the back of Al Ward here. He could have followed the winner. Instead he decides to go out behind much bigger price, so he could have had the winner's run. Instead he takes the option to go in behind tired horses and gets to the outside and battles away okay. This Dubois, not a lot of luck either. Just an ugly race. I think they're very evenly graded stayers that will take turns. I think the favourite was a bit lucky to win at the price it was, considering the price it was. It definitely had a lot in its favour. Probably has as much upside as anything in the race, that's for sure, so I don't want to be too negative on it, but I'm definitely not jumping out of my skin to be on it next start. Especially when, you know, a horse like Nat King Koo, who's probably had a little bit of tempo in its favour, but is there battling away well, and is a 9-year-old having its first run at 2,000 metres. Shadlar had a good effort though, deep into its first prep now. First time it's been beaten, and did battle on strongly. Premier's Cup, extremely fast pace here. They just, poor old Classic Uniform just got attacked. I thought it was strange to see the urgency on Loyalty Man here and to press up and not, rather than just find a position. He definitely kicks up a bit harder than I expected, and that forces broadside to. So he sort of gets a little bit more aggressive here than I expected. Here is when I thought, well, what are you doing? Boots up, making everyone work quicker, including himself, and probably made himself extremely vulnerable at the end. Ends up getting some cover, but the horse is basically toast already. King Viv in a similar spot. It's already out of business by here. It's just done too much work. TIC's the only one still on the bridle. The one true stayer in the race. A good patient ride. It gets clear running at the right time and does a good job. Good effort to get out of that position there, and Classic Uniform's a shot duck at this stage. The West following him in a pretty similar frame of mind. They've had enough. Centre Pivot comes down the outside. with clear running. He's done nothing in the run, and neither has Destiny's Kiss. They're entitled to run on. King Viv and Loyalty Man battle away, just as Classic Uniform does. They've all pretty much done their absolute best. The winner's the only one with any real staying ability for mine, like as in, apart from Destiny's Kiss, who was 70 days between runs, but he's the only one who really appreciated the genuine tempo and ran the trip out. And I think that basically explains the race. Broadside, you could forgive him. He's been beaten a long way. He's had to work way too hard in the run. And he goes to a race like the Newcastle Cup and probably can improve just as the winner did from run to run. Ming Dynasty. Victor Nature was well back late in betting, as was the second horse, Assimilate Mahalanga, and Runaway, the other two well back runners. Addictive Nature does a good job here. It was probably more ideal if he got across early and then let Runaway go, and when he's sort of forced to press on for the lead and Runaway sits outside him and over races, it makes his job a lot more difficult than you would have hoped for. Got them both over racing and racing a bit keen in the run. They did run a solid even tempo, and he's forced to work. He's kicked off that. Runaway's beaten off. Simulate comes down the outside, forced that around them and wide, which is not easy to do it at Rosehill, and probably peaked on his run a little bit late. His effort was very good. They both had good setups for this race, the first 1 and 2. Astoria was also pretty good first up, I thought. Battled on well, and Mahalanga, who did miss the start a bit, was a good effort. Runaway not too bad after sitting outside the lead and over racing. Probably just wants that senior rider back on. He's a bit of a tough customer to ride, as in can get going a bit keen by the look of him. You see here that Rachel King's really struggling to hold on to him, which is making the leader race keen, and they're not doing each other any favours here, and outside the leader it's a little bit tougher. You see here Runaway just putting the pressure into it. It's beaten out of it. Just really couldn't hold it. Like Kingdom Come raced really well fresh. I thought his run was good, even though he's beaten a long way in the end. You see Assimilate coming wide here, and this is Mahalanga trying to edge out. Did well to get the run. Good effort up from maiden grade, no doubt about that. Most of the merit in the race with the winner and the one down the outside for mine. I didn't mind the run of Astoria as well, first up, and Runaway. I thought probably the one that had its chance at the most was Hypnotist, but also not so well set up from a fitness perspective. So I think it's a pretty good race. I think these horses are capable of winning at higher level. Basically all of them can improve, including the winner. His manners can improve. I think settling off a faster tempo, he can improve. I really look forward to seeing what he can do in time. And the second horse, I'm just got a query over whether 1400 is going to top him out, but that still puts him in good stead for some interesting races like the Run to the Rose. The Stan Fox is up in trip, but maybe back towards a golden race. It's interesting to see which way they'll go with him. He did have to sustain a wide run there, so I'm not completely penning him from a future perspective at further, but I just a little bit of a query over how far he'll run with that high head carriage. Assimilate. Best ride of the day here. Most confident ride, no doubt about it. Things did work out, but you've still got to have the balls to put it on the line and ride horses inside, like Blake Shin does here with Pariah, and just a great ride. Well back late, and did look the class runner. I thought it was going to put him away a bit easier, but may have knocked up. I did think he was presented quite forward, and I'm not too sure. I'm sure he will improve, but I'm not too sure how much improvement he has in him compared to some on the day. I love the run of Speed Street here. Showed some great pace and battled on well. He's a little bit one-paced, and 1100 metres is not his go. He'll measure up to higher grade over a bit further. Chauffeur was a good ride, ridden out the back quiet first up. Seems that he excels over these sprint trips on these firm tracks, and he's come back well. Jordan obviously was a little bit checked and blocked, but looked flat on the mile line for mine, and was a good effort. And Parast, I'm totally forgiving again. We'll see him here, just a bit slow out and not a great ride for mine. I just think they're not using his best attribute, which is his speed, and he can improve. Just interested to see where they end up with him. We'll see Assimilate just has to ease out of the speed here and eventually settle second last. The 2 leaders are going hard here. Conda Hero's just over racing a bit. He's a tough horse to handle, and up outside Speed Street, he's giving the best run you've ever seen to Medina and Jordan in the run. Another Sin runs well up in grade. Here's Shin slicing through. Obviously easy to do when you've got the horse underneath you, but to have the confidence to ride it like that, I thought it was a really good effort. Chauffeur tracks him everywhere, gets through, taking aim, just a little bit unbalanced there and trying to hold him in. There we go, I think I called it Assimilate, I'm not in the wrong race. I thought Parast under a little pressure here just ran on quite well and can improve. I just don't think he's suited at all, ridden back in the field like he has been his last couple of starts. I just thought here that Pariah was going to go into overdrive and put him away, and I'm just a little bit scared that he doesn't. And when he is, the button is pushed here, I get worried that he might have looked a bit flashier than he actually was. I'm worried about him over 1400. Like, for him to be favourite in the Golden Rose seems a bit crazy for mine. I thought he's put them away nice and easily, don't get me wrong, but just a little few concerns over the form, the depth of it over 1100 metres, getting to 1400 metres in 2 runs from that. I just prefer to be on him around the 1200 metre marker at this stage. Chauffeur was a good run from a future standpoint, so was Jordan. Probably prefer it back against fillies. Medina was showing up a bit. That was probably its Christmas. I don't think it'll measure up to higher grade than this off that run. Speed Street I think needs further definitely to measure up, and I think Parast just back a cog can measure up. Conda Hero's a bit of a forgive, but he's a tough horse to work out. Race 8, 1500 metres. I expected them to go a bit faster here. The way I kind of worked it out, I thought the 2 leaders might drag race each other a bit early and put each other out of the race. As it was, the Pharaoh was allowed to do his own thing, and Special Missile let him go, sat outside him and dominated him. Great ride and great confidence from the stable to ride the horse like that. The Pharaoh sets a softish tempo in front and has its chance that Mapmaker gets the gun run third the fence and does his good job again. That was probably his peak run. It's tough to see him turning the tables on the leader. Francesco battles away for 4th, and Hogmanay has realistic excuses simply because of the start there. He's basically out of play considering the way the race unfolds. He's just turned into a bit of a bomb-proof horse, this Special Missile, and you see how he just relaxes after 2 strides after being dug out of the gate. He's chasing a solidish tempo, but they back it right off. He's able to cruise into the race, and here you can see he just travels like the winner all the way. It's great for a horse like this, a free-going horse, to be able to travel outside a leader, put a race away, and have the race in his command. He's not a stupid play for a lightweight play in a major handicap. He's going that well. He can travel up on a fast tempo and kick off it. And even though he's only beating a horse like you say, it's like a Mapmaker who's beaten in a Tamworth Cup not too long ago, he's just going too well. And his racing style, and if he gets down in the weights in a big handicap, he could run a tricky little race. Just interesting to see whether they can get him to the right race and keep him together, but he seems to be holding conditions, seems to be thriving, racing well. I'd say the Pharaoh probably drops back to 1400 next start. If Mapmaker drops back to 14 or back in grade, he can run well. I've given up on this Blake Francesco for a while. That was his last chance for mine, and Hogmanay's got a few tricks up his sleeve, but probably just needs to find a race where they can put a senior rider back on him and see how well he's actually going, but I do think he's going well enough to do something. Lucky Last, solid tempo, solid time. Bonnie O'Reilly is just an absolute workman-like horse. Puts itself in the race. Drawn 1 obviously helped, but still that makes her have to be dug early. First up 1200 metres off a little break was never going to be easy, I didn't think. I think 1200's her trip, but first up to run at that distance is not easy. She had the weight, all these weight people backs the leader in. Don't know how she was ever going to turn the tables on her. No doubt looks to be ready now, 1400 metres next time, and I'll be keen on it in the right race. Does just get out sprinted a little bit, but toughs it out well. Supreme Effort was always going to get that run it likes to be smothered and have a sprint at them, and ran well. So Plush was a better effort outside the leader. Obviously, Salida just went quick, but just backed up, and Sabacus takes a little bit of quality out of the race as it was beaten 40 lengths and will spell. So Bonnie O'Reilly, not the quickest out, but quickly musters as she does. Stablemate outside the leader, Be Like Dad 3 wide. No doubt down the outside, Supreme Effort looking for runs. As soon as that gap opens, she shows her customary turn of speed, sustains it for that 200 to 300 metres, and that's what puts the race away. She's such a tough little mare now, and I think she's 4 from 4 at Rosehill. She just suited to that on pace dash, hold them off racing style. She'll run in the Scirocco in 2 weeks, and she'll be hard to beat. She's going well. 1200's her ideal trip for mine. She'll come on from that run, and she'll run well again. I think the second horse was saying 1400 can be interesting next time out. Supreme Effort just needs to find something similar, and he'll be competitive. Hard to place, I'm sure. He's won a few races, and he's up in the weights. He's hard to place. So Plush probably back to 11 to be his best. And I'm not sure how they ran into Mogador here, how they found it in the betting, but he ran up to his best, I think. That was it. Not too much out of that race. A shame to see Sir Bacchus not basically finish the course. I thought he was pretty well set up there and might run a race, but the way it all sort of happened, he probably gets beat anyway. So thanks, guys. Not too much to come from that meeting, but interesting with the 3-year-olds to keep an eye on them. They were definitely the key points of the race. The stayers, like DIC and Broadside will probably head to something like a Newcastle Cup. Marsupial's an interesting horse, as is Improvement, Tango Rain. The stayers race can take them. Pretty quiet day. Thanks, guys.